Super Rugby Pacific, folks. Australia against New Zealand. Has it been more competitive than Trans-Tasman? If you think all the way back to 2021, we had the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman kind of short term. It was like 4 or 5 weeks long competition between the Aussie sides and the Kiwi sides. And it wasn't the flashiest competition. My memory before doing the numbers on this video was that it was pretty lopsided. The New Zealand teams had a pretty easy time of it with the Aussie sides. How is it for 2022? Is it any better? Do we have more parity? As I said, before this, my gut said yes. We'll look at the numbers to either kind of confirm or deny those. Before I start, I should say I'm not including any of the results of Moana Pacifica and the Fijian Drua in these numbers because I know people would argue that the Moana Pacifica is like a 6th New Zealand team, but no, I'm not including them as one of the Kiwi teams, despite the fact they're based in Auckland and have a bunch of New Zealand eligible guys playing for them. They're a different project. They're not one of the Kiwi teams for the purposes of this video. So take those numbers and we'll put them separately. But Trans-Tasman, remember, it was that short-term competition. We had 25 games. How many games did the New Zealanders win? It was 23-2. Lopsided, like I mentioned. Very, very lopsided. I forget. The Reds beat, I think, the Chiefs. And did the Brumbies beat the Hurricanes? Yeah, it was really lopsided. It was a bit of a damp squib. Even though my Blues ended up winning it, which I was happy about to see them lift the trophy, it wasn't the flashiest of competitions. I think many of us, and I say that as a Blues fan, would admit that. The average score was 39-21, which is, what, like an 18-point difference. It's not exactly edge of your seat stuff. Obviously, there's some results which blow out the scoreline and some which bring it closer, but average across the 25 games, New Zealand sides 39, Aussie sides 21. New Zealand sides win 92% of the time. Not that much flash about it. Games that finished within 7 points, so games that are genuinely kind of, and I'm not including the final, I'm just including the Aussie-New Zealand games. Games that finish within 7 points is 5, because remember the final was the Blues and the Highlanders, so not an Aussie-New Zealand clash. So of 25 games, 5 of them, so 1/5, finish kind of, with a result that could have changed with one converted try at the death. So not the best numbers for that competition, admittedly. It was a bit of a letdown after AU was a pretty cool comp and Aotearoa was a pretty cool comp. The AU sides weren't up to the same level, and it wasn't that great a look. It kind of was a bit of a deflating one, especially for the Aussie teams. Biggest scoreline was the Blues 50-3 over the Rebels in Melbourne, so that's a 47-point win. How many Aussie teams got wins in New Zealand during that competition? There were none. So, yeah, like I mentioned, pretty lopsided. But what about this year? Better or worse? We've got 24 games. I think it's not worse. 17 New Zealand wins, 7 for the Aussies. I mean, that's still not parity. That's not 50-50. But I think that's a vast improvement over the previous year, right? If you're looking at kind of incremental improvement, that's certainly a step in the right direction. Does that mean the New Zealand sides are getting worse? Does that mean the Aussie sides are getting better? It's all a rich tapestry, right? You can make your mind up as to which way it's going. I like to think the Aussie sides have been improved. I mean, certainly the Waratahs were an easy beat last year, and they can walk away this season with their heads held a lot higher than last year when they were just kind of a free win. Average score, has it come down for the New Zealand sides? Yes, down from 39 to 35. So it's only 4 points, but it's an average reduction. And what about the Aussie sides? Have they scored more? Yes, they're up, averaging 24. So that doesn't seem like a heck of a big change, but that takes you from an 18-point difference to an 11-point difference, which in the scheme of things makes the game feel like a lot closer, right? Like it's an extra try. It's an extra converted try. Goes from being a wee bit of a hiding to like a semi-close game. But as I said, some of the results blow things out. Like the biggest result this year was actually bigger than the biggest result last year. Like I said, 47 points of what the Blues beat the Rebels by last year. The Highlanders beat the Force 61-10. which is 51 points. So it's even more. So there's always some results which take out the averages, but across the board, I think you'd be pretty happy that things are at least a wee bit closer. The number of games that finished within 7 points, this time it's 9. So that's almost double. So some games that are more likely to have you on the edge of the seat come the final whistle. So I think overall pretty pleasing. Did any Aussie sides get wins over the New Zealand sides this year? Remember last year was no. This year, yes. By my count, it's 2. The Waratahs went and got the result over the Highlanders down in Dunedin, and the Brumbies came into Hamilton and got a win over the Chiefs. So 2 is better than 0. You know, you want to go to a game and hope that you're treated to a spectacle. You want to watch a game and have at least a little bit of doubt about what's going to happen. I think we certainly got more of that this year. I said I wasn't including them, but remember the Aussie team's got a couple of wins over Moana Pacifica over here as well. So there were Aussie sides getting that bit of confidence winning on New Zealand soil. For some guys, it'd be their first time. So yeah, those are pretty much the numbers in a nutshell, guys. I would say overall, pretty pleasing. New Zealand sides go from winning 92% of the games last year to 71. So as I said, it's still pretty dominant. The facts are that all of the New Zealand sides made the playoffs, whereas for the Aussie sides, the Force and the Rebels did not. So the way the competition is structured, like 8 sides make the playoffs out of a 12-team competition, which is probably a bit much. But yeah, we will see how things go in the playoffs. For a while, the Brumbies have been flying the flag high, knocking off New Zealand teams. They've been a little bit of a slump towards the end of the season. The Waratahs, as I said, are miles better than last year. The Reds didn't finish their New Zealand campaign with the best numbers, but we will still wait to see what happens in the knockout stages. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. What do you reckon is the competition, especially those last kind of 5 rounds in comparison to Trans-Tasman last year? Do you think it's a better watch? For me, it's miles better. But I know everyone's going to have their own thoughts and views on it. But anyway, as I said, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.